Mazz, your thoughts?
Okay, so here's where I start. I was at the game yesterday, and I would say, and independent of that, I thought the first half of that game is exactly what I expected. My guess is it's what you expected because we had a similar bet on the Felger and Mazz parlay, which started with Cleveland plus the points and the under. You expected a low-scoring, tight game that was going to be decided probably by less than a touchdown. I like the Patriots in it. That's what the first half was. The second half was a complete smoke show, which brings me to the Patriots' advantage over just about every team they've played thus far, if not every team they've played thus far. The game ultimately was decided by the quarterback and the coaching in that order, because I think the second thing plays off of the first. And so the Patriots had a massive advantage at quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, as good a story as he may or may not be, doesn't have one half the talent that Drake May does, can't throw the ball down the field, is extremely limited. And as a result, the Patriots have way more options at their disposal when it comes to coaching, which they implemented in the second half. And that was the difference in the game. They have a better quarterback and they have a better coach. And we all know that that was the foundation of the formula here for a long, long time. And as long as they have that intact and those two guys complement each other the way they have thus far, you're going to get a lot of W's down there, and you're going to get a lot of W's every year.
I mean, that's the combo. But I also think the mark of whether or not you're actually legit in the NFL is presently constituted, is if can you not just beat the crap teams, but make those crap teams look like crap. And look, it was tough in the first half for them, and that defense is actually better than I gave it credit for, that Browns defense. It felt to me it was a bit of a paper tiger, especially when you're like getting how many turnovers there was against the Dolphins the week before, like the Dolphins. But the Patriots, again, while starting off shaky at times, and they did yesterday, they do that. They make these crap teams look like crap. That's the mark of a good team in today's NFL. And just compare it to some of these other teams that feel like they might be on the come or like, ooh, maybe they're middling or a little bit better. The Bears going to Baltimore yesterday, and they get killed. The Bengals end up losing to the Jets, and they were up, I think, by like 20 points at one point in that game. And the Falcons, who you'll see next week, get destroyed by the aforementioned Dolphins at home yesterday. Like, they're all fake. So at least the Patriots, like, they're legit. And again, if we want to talk about the schedule and the lack of strength of it or whatever, fine, I get it. That's all real. But at least they're not playing down to these suck teams. They're kicking the ass out of them.
So I agree with Murray. Don't you isn't the yeah, but that you get with the schedule, yeah, but they haven't played anybody, isn't that mitigated by how they've looked against these teams, Mazz?
Yes, definitely.
I think so, for sure.
Me too.
Yeah, particularly, again, I would say, particularly in the second half of a lot of these games, they pulled away from these teams. And in some cases, it's come earlier. The Carolina game was kind of a smoke show from the get-go. But other than that, one of the things I do also like is that the first half was a little bit of a rock fight and a struggle. You had to overcome some mistakes because I think it's important for them to show some resiliency. I think that's important in order to win games. They're not all going to go perfectly where you run out of the gate, get up 21-0, and win 40-9. Like, it's not going to happen that way all the time. So I don't mind them being pushed a little. But to your point, yes, they are. These teams aren't in their class. And to me, the big difference maker is the quarterback, but I will put Vrabel right in there with him.
Yeah, well, I think McDaniels had a really good day yesterday. I thought that second half, you really sort of, without knowing all the exact ins and outs of it, but clearly there were some adjustments made there, and I'm just talking about in the running game.
They looked like his plays. I thought it was, so again, this isn't a show, and me too. Like, I don't usually compliment Josh McDaniels. I thought that second half was a big McDaniels day.
They started running to the outside more regularly. They just gave up on the inside, which was smart. There was sort of a gratuitous handoff to Stevenson somewhere in there, and every once in a while they would do that. But otherwise, it was get Henderson on the perimeter, and we're going to attack. We're not going to run up the gut of your defense anymore because we can't. So you know what? We're going to toss to the outside and attack you on the edges, and that first drive was tremendous.
And it was all scheme. So I thought the coaches had a really good day yesterday. McDaniels, or whoever is collaborating with them on the offensive side to satisfy Vrabel there. But that's where the coaching is showing up, right? The third quarter's, Mazz, 21-0 yesterday in the third quarter, right?
Yes, and in fact, I've done a little running total here.
Did I hear 52-7 in the last 4 games somewhere?
I think that is right. And I really did the last they have not been outscored in the third quarter in the last 6 games. Okay, the only team that hung in there with them was Buffalo. They were 7-7. Otherwise, against Miami, it was 8-6. Pittsburgh was scoreless. Carolina 7-zip. Buffalo 7-7. New Orleans 3-0. The last 2 have been 14-0 and 21-0. So 35-0 in the last 2 games. 38-0 in the last 3.
So there is something there where they're not so hot on the scripts. They're losing the scripts, the offensive, defensive scripts, whatever, but they find out how the game's going. I don't know what they're doing, but as the game goes on, they're definitely getting better and pulling away from these teams.
Absolutely.
Which I just don't think you can say about everybody. I don't know. Maybe you can about the Colts. You find your keys, though?
They're in the trash.
Were they in the trash?
Yeah.
They were in the trash. Sorry about that. Okay, I took the trash out because, it's old Musy Mazz, the trash man, does it.
A lot of trash on a Monday.
Zoe threw his keys out in the trash. Sorry, Zoe. I didn't hear him in there.
That's a good place for him.
Okay. All right, Zoe. Have a good day.
What else is in there? Your wallet?
Take it easy.
Bull in a china shop.
What was I saying? They're pulling away from these teams.
Yeah. They're opening these games up.
Taking care of business. And I don't know if every team that's sort of now, it's emerging here. We're getting to the midpoint of the year. It's Indy, you, and Denver are the first 3 seeds. I feel, Denver yesterday took care of business. This is to Murray's point. Denver took care of business yesterday. Look, they separated from a team they should separate from at home, Dallas. Indy's probably doing it too.
They definitely did against Tennessee yesterday.
Now that I think if I just gone back and looked at their last couple games, they beat Vegas at home 40-6. Squeaked one against Arizona, I guess, 31-27. Won at the Chargers by 2 touchdowns, 38-24. 38-14 yesterday at Tennessee. Second time they've beaten them. They went to Tennessee, won 41-20. They beat Miami 33-8. So I feel like I haven't really watched Indy. I just haven't, other than clips. I couldn't tell you. But just looking at their scores, Indy leads the league in point differential, if that means anything to you. It feels like they're taking care of the bums. But you are. And I give credit to that. I do. I think that's to me, that's just sort of a mark that you're not just beating the teams, you're separating. And so I think that's what is another reason why you should be taken seriously. Not just the record, it's how you look against these teams.
No question. And I would say, again, this flies in the face of what we were all expecting. But I feel like their offense, particularly the skill positions, are getting a little bit more polished and better every single week. You're seeing more and more. Now, in this game, we saw Travion Henderson kind of jump into the mix and give them a dimension in the running game that maybe they didn't have up until now. And so, now look, there's still some ball security issues and things like that. I'm not telling you it was perfect. I thought the offensive line got its ass handed to it. But honestly, I was expecting that. I thought that this was going to be a game where they were going to have to coach around that because they just don't have the personnel that Cleveland has up front to be able to match up there. So they found a way around it. And the quarterback's a big part of that. But yes, I think every week that goes here, you recalibrate what the goals should be. And now, up until now, it was just, or up until the last couple of weeks, have a winning record, have a good season, make a run at the playoffs. Then it became, you should make the playoffs. Now you're 6-2. Now I think there's a chance to win the division. I never thought I'd be saying that. I understand there's a long way to go, but I also think you could have a home game here. And to me, this whole thing is, it's getting better for them every single week.
Yeah, and they should be looking to invest here with, 8 days away, 9 days, whatever it is, to the NFL trade deadline. And I'm not expecting a big splash, but, they should try to shore up that secondary. There's still nits to pick. I hate the fact that it's now, they're giving up points in 6 of 8 games on the opening drive, and 4 of them have been touchdowns. And there was no one within 10 yards of that guy yesterday. It's like, what are we doing? This is like a pop gun offense. That still bothers me. And some of the Drake May running stuff, he ran great yesterday. I still don't know if he knows how to get down correctly. There was one... It was 23-7 at the time, and he breaks off a big one, goes up the middle, and you could tell, do I slide? Do I? And then he just went down like a slug on his right side, and it's like, I like him running, but can you learn how to get down? That still seems to be an issue.
That was a 26-yarder,
yes.
right up, or 28, right up the middle.
Yeah.
right?
Do you know
And
what I'm
he
talking?
He went
like-
down awkwardly.
Yeah, no, totally. Well,
Yeah.
he was waiting for
Yeah.
He kept. I felt he was running like, okay, someone's gonna come, right? And then like I think the last 5-10 yards, he was sort of saying, I'm still up, like no one's come to get me. So that looked awkward. I agree. Keep going.
No, it was clunky. I mean, I felt the same way on that play. I think the next play was the touchdown to Booty,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
on those 2 plays, they picked up 57 yards, I think it was. But I know exactly what you're talking
No,
about.
because I kind of found it funny. I was like, what was that? He went down like he dropped a potato. He just went like, ugh.
He still makes me nervous.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
He still makes me nervous when he runs. Even the play where Myles Garrett pulled him down from behind, and he kind of, it would almost look like a horse collar
Hey, that one
play.
looked a little bad, yeah.
So that one made me nervous. I thought he goes down like that and twists his knee on the way down. Who knows what the hell happens, which kind of happened on that play. He's got to get down sooner. There's too much. Every week the stakes get higher.
But they've definitely separated. Like I thought, in recent weeks, okay, maybe they're like a frisky middler. They're not that. Like the Steelers, who beat them, they got their asses kicked last night to your Packers, and especially in that second half. It wasn't even close. Like they're not that. I'd love to see a rematch with Pittsburgh right now because I think the Patriots would kill them.
Well, that's just sort of what I think. Green Bay's the number 1 seed in the NFC. Yesterday. So I watch. It's what the team I can compare the Patriots to the most. I watch full games from 2 teams, and the Packers are the number 1 seed in the NFC. And let me tell you, they do not look or feel like you do. You feel much more solid and complete and reliable, and you're not sweating out these games. I feel there's a much more of a sweat factor with Green Bay that I just don't feel with you. And against the same competition, or similar competition anyway, a lot of weeks. And I think that, do style points matter? I mean, they only matter in sort of how we feel about the teams. And in that regard, I think you should feel good about the Patriots because it's not just they're playing these teams and beating these teams. They look solid in beating these teams, which isn't to say perfect, but it's just a feeling you get. And I have it with the Patriots.